Good day, everyone. Welcome to Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I am your host, Pika Stanis, and today's date is November 9th, 2021. And today is a milestone episode for me and my podcast. This is episode 75, season 3. And today I will discuss about forgotten and defunct Chicago professional sports teams, which should be very interesting. So right now we're going the program will go into a commercial break, and this program is brought to you by the Chicago Sting, the soccer team that played in Chicago for many years. And here is a TV promo from 1987. Enjoy.
The Chicago Sting and Chicago's Power Station, this season's winning team. The Chicago Sting are on the road in Tacoma to take on the Stars. Don't miss a minute of the action, live tomorrow night at 9:30 on 50, Chicago's Power Station.
Okay, I am back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial. That was from 1987, where the Chicago Sting played with the Tacoma Stars. And the Tacoma Stars, they were a soccer team from 1983 to 1992. That's a long time. Probably longer than the Chicago Sting. So I will go into more depth of that team in a little while. But thank you for joining me for this special episode. I'm going to have a lot of fun discussing that. Even though I'm not a sports fan, but I love reading history about sports and also watching movies about certain sports. Like, for example, my favorite sports movie is the 1942 movie The Pride of the Yankees that starred Gary Cooper, and he portrayed Lou Gehrig. And I have seen the movie about 2 or 3 times. It's a classic. I really love it, and it's very sad. What happened, and then because he was afflicted by a terrible disease that took his life, and it's affected a lot of people throughout the years, and now they call it Lou Gehrig's disease and ALS. So I remember when they did the bucket. Remember when they had the ice bucket thing that you do that was for charity. I didn't participate in that, but I remember a lot of people did that as well. And another movie I want to mention is Newt Rockne, All American. He was the coach for Notre Dame, and they used to show that movie all the time on WGN TV Channel 9 in the 70s. I used to watch that on Sunday nights when movies were movies. And it starred Pat O'Brien as Newt Rockne, and Ronald Reagan, our former president, was in the movie. And it was really good. It was interesting. It showed how he uh, became very famous, with Notre Dame. It's a fascinating movie. You should check it out. If anyone hasn't seen it, please do. I haven't seen it lately. They don't show it much. So hopefully on TCM they play them. So we'll see about that. Okay. Let's get back to the topic of this episode, which would be forgotten and defunct Chicago professional sports teams. I find this a very fascinating subject because there were so many in the Chicagoland area for many years. Some didn't last for a year, some lasted longer, some were totally forgotten. So I'll go down through a list. I won't go into much detail of each one, but maybe the ones that were in Chicago for a number of years. So here we go. This will be the first one Here's the first one on the list I will discuss. Okay. Here we are. The first one, this will be alphabetical order, so just bear with me. The first one is called the Chicago American Gears, and that was a basketball team, and they were a part of the National Basketball League. And according to this, they played from 1944 to 1947. And so it was based in Chicago, of course. And they had a basketball legend named was George McCann, and he was nicknamed Mr. Basketball. I don't know if you're a basketball fan. You would probably remember him, and he was a very tall guy, and he probably was wonderful. So that's interesting. It's a very interesting story about that. And let's see, the next one I will talk about is the Chicago Bandits. Now, that is a women's professional softball team based in Rosemount, Illinois. It was founded in the year 2005. They always played at the Parkway Bank Sports Complex in Rosemont. And that lasted from 2005 to this year, and they disbanded. So that's interesting. But they first started playing at Benedict University in Lisle, Illinois. Oh, so I never knew that. Never knew that. Okay, next one. There was a hockey league. It was from the All American Hockey League, called the Chicago Blaze, and they were a hockey team based in Rolling Meadows, Illinois, and they only played 1 year. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a shame. you know. Okay, next one. Ah, the Chicago Blitz. The Chicago Blitz was from the United States Football League. It was a football team. I think a lot of people remember that from the 1980s, and they played at Soldier Field from 1982 until 1984. So they only played 2 seasons, I believe. Yeah, 2 seasons. Isn't that something? And they played only 19 games. So yeah, 18 or 19 games. Other teams they played with was the Washington Federals, Arizona Wranglers, the Denver Gold, Los Angeles Express, Tampa Bay Bandits, and so on and so on. That's interesting. So they recruited a lot of people from the from that USFL to the NFL. And one name I recognize from here is Tom Thayer, and he played with the Chicago Bears. You hear that name before? That's very interesting. I do remember that. I really do. So that was very brief. Okay. Next one, we have the Chicago Bruisers, and they were arena football team based in Rosemont, Illinois. They were founded in 1987, but they only played 2 years. So that's interesting. You know, it's interesting when you find someone like that. Okay, nothing famous or anybody from the team, not that I know of. Okay, now here we go. Now the next one is the Chicago Cardinals. That one, it started from 1920 to 1959, and let's see. Then in 1959, they relocated to St. Louis, and they were the St. Louis Cardinals for about 17 years, from 1960 to 1987, and then they moved to Arizona, which what they're known now. And a lot of people don't remember them, or if you're older, you probably do. I don't know if they were better than the Bears. So it's funny. You had two football teams in Chicago, just like baseball. Chicago White Sox and Chicago Cubs. That's nice, like that. And so that's it's mentioned on the news about that, and a lot of people today would probably know. Oh, they're from St. Louis. That the Cardinals football team, which is not so. It is from Chicago, so they have to do their history on that. Okay. Next up, we have the Chicago Cats, and there was just a soccer club in Chicago. The member of the Chicago Soccer League. They only played at Hanson Stadium. It's in the Belmont Cragen community in Chicago on the north side. So that was very brief. Yeah, I bet it was. Next, we have a basketball team called the Chicago Condors, and they were a member of the American Basketball League, the ABL, and let's see, they only played 1 year. I like that, and let's see. Let's, let's see. The head coach. Let's see. General manager was Allison Hodges, the wife of former Chicago Bulls star Craig Hodges, and former Bulls assistant Jim Clemens was head coach. So I don't know. I don't know if people remember that, but they played at the University of Illinois at the Chicago Pavilion. Very brief, very brief. Okay. Next up, we have the Chicago Cougars. Now, a lot of people remember them if you're growing up in the 70s. And they were a franchise of the World Hockey Association from 1972 to 1975. And they played mostly at the International Amphitheater, which was located at 43rd Street and South Halsted in, I think, the Bridgeport area or Canaryville, around there. I think it's Bridgeport. Could be wrong. So the International Amphitheater was very popular. It's a big arena. The Beatles played there when they arrived in America. They played there, I believe, there in 1964. I think maybe after when they appeared on Ed Sullivan. Before, I'm not sure, but they did perform there, and it was quite successful at the time. And they played, of course, not just only at the International Amphitheater, but they played at the Randhurst Ice Arena. Their colors were gold and green, and their games were broadcast on WSNS TV when it was an English-speaking channel, not like Spanish now. And on the radio, it was listened on WCFL, yeah, like that. And then, so they had interesting history of that. They tried to play with at the Chicago Stadium, but that fell through. So nothing. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. So they mostly played at the International Amphitheater, but a lot of people I've discussed on Facebook, or they make comments that they do remember this team and they did attend at that arena. And there was, and you can find memorabilia on eBay, like T-shirts, patches, and stuff like that. So that's quite a history of that. Okay. Next up, we have uh, the Chicago Enforcers. They played in Soldier Field. It was an American football team, and it was owned by Vince McMahon of the WWE. He was in wrestling, but it didn't last very long. So that was just a hit and miss place. And they played on Soldier Field just for 1 year. It was founded in 2001, folded in 2001. 2001. That was the league was the XFL, and that was gone. Okay. Next one, we have the Chicago Fire. And the Chicago Fire was an American football team from the World Football League, and they only played 1 year. And it was established in October 1973, and it folded in 1975. And they played at Soldier Field. That's good. Head coach his name was Jim Spavito. Excuse me. And their colors were red and black. So the first player they signed was Jim Seymour, and he played on the Chicago Bears, and he was also before that he played on Notre Dame, and they recruited a few players. So it's interesting. So, but a lot of people do remember that. They do remember this team, and they did play, like I said, for 1 year, and they broadcasted on WGN Channel 9, during the summer. It's interesting. They played, so here's some other teams they played. They played the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Sharks, the Portland Storms, the Hawaiians, Philadelphia Bell, Detroit Wheels, Birmingham Americans, Memphis Southmen, Florida Blazers. Oh, I did mention Florida Blazers. I mentioned that. They only played 20 games. So, and the last game they played was with the Philadelphia Bell in Philadelphia, but was forfeit. So they canceled it. So they really played like 19 and a half. So that's it. That's quite interesting. Okay. And here's another one. We have the Chicago Fire premiere, or it's called the Chicago Fire U23, and that's a soccer team, excuse me. And they played in Toyota Park in Bridgeville, Illinois, not far from my house. And it was founded in 2001, and it dissolved in 2016. You know, just about 5 years ago. And people were excited about soccer. You know, soccer is a big deal in Europe. It really is. Very popular sport. It is popular here, but it's huge over there. Oh, it's like football, which they call it they call it football there, but we call it soccer. But isn't that something? You know, so I used to see that on television. You know, and that's a shame. Like that. Okay, next up, there was a hockey team from the United Hockey League, and it was a minor professional hockey team called the Chicago Hounds. And they played at the Sears Center Arena in Hoffman Estates. A lot of people know they used to be Poplar Creek there, you know, when they had the concerts. And that was just only for one year. Okay, and next we have the Chicago Hustle. Now, the Chicago Hustle was a women's professional basketball league, which I do remember. It was the WBL. Their colors were red and blue, and they played at what is this place called? Alumni Hall. Which it's I'm sorry, it's at DePaul University on the Lincoln Park campus, and that ran from 2 years, from 1978 to 1981. And they disbanded because, like as usual, there was financial problems. So that's a shame. So I think it was the first one, the first women's professional basketball, and then we have the Chicago Sky now. So that's great. You know, well, I hope it lasts. You know, but this one, it was the first one. That's very nice. Very nice. Okay, next one we have. Oh, we'll skip that. Okay, this is something interesting. Here is the Chicago Mustangs, and they were the first professional soccer team in Chicago. They only lasted 1 year. So that ran from 1967 to 1968, and they played at Comiskey Park, which is now Guaranteed Rate Field for the White Sox. And the owner, his name was Arthur Allen Jr. And he was at the time he was a co-owner of the Chicago White Sox with his brother. And that's interesting. And they only played 1 year. And I remember seeing an ad in the Chicago Tribune, and they advertised for that, and they did show a few games on Channel 9 and WGN, which was interesting. You know, so I never knew about this until I found that ad in the paper. Okay, let's see what else. And now we have the here's something interesting. We have the Chicago Packers and Chicago Zephyrs. So it was from the NBA. At the time, they had two basketball teams in Chicago, and first it was called the Chicago Packers from 1961 to 62, only 1 year, and then they renamed it the Chicago Zephyrs from 62 to 63. So that's interesting, and they moved to Baltimore. Let's see, yeah, they moved to Baltimore. They became the Baltimore Bullets, and then they moved to Washington D.C. and I think they called the Washington Bullets, and now they're called the Washington Wizards. That's something. So it was formed from that. So here's the history of it. Like I said before, they were the Packers from 1 year, 61 62, the Zephyrs from 62 to 63, that's Chicago. Then they became the Baltimore Bullets for 10 years. And then the Capitol Bullets for 1 year, they renamed that, and then they became the Washington Bullets for a long time, from '74 to '97, and then in 1997, they renamed it the Washington Wizards. So that's, I never knew that. I had no idea. I don't know. I'm not sure where they, let's see where they played. They played, of course, they played at Chicago Stadium, but I don't know if people remember that. That was so long, that was long time ago. Long time ago. Hmm. Okay. Next, we have the another soccer team. It was called the Chicago Power. Okay, and that ran from 1988 to 1996, and they played at the USC Pavilion and also at Rosemont Horizon. So they were only there for about not long, 8 years. So that was after the Chicago Sting. Okay. All right, let's see what else. I'll go really quick. We have the Chicago Rush. That was from the Arena Football League. They were based in Rosemont, Illinois, and that ran from 2001 to 2013. Interesting. And I never knew about that. Never knew. Okay, and let's see. I'll hurry up. And then we have okay, we have the Chicago Skyliners. That's from the ABA, the American Basketball Association. It was a minor league for basketball. Only ran for 1 year. That came and went. And let's see what else. We have the Chicago Slaughter. That only they played at Huffman State, Illinois. They only played 1 year. So actually they played from 2007 to 2013. Excuse me. They played for 6 years. And let's see what else. They have it was also called the Chicago Stags, and they were from the NBA from 1946 to 1950. They played at the Chicago Stadium, and it was yes. So yeah, like I said before, it was from 1946 to 1950. So only 4 years. Only 4 years, and so their colors were red and blue. I wonder if everyone remembered them. And let's see what else. And I'll save the best for last. And then we have the Chicago Thunder. That was a volleyball team. Chicago Tigers. They only played for 1 year, 1920, long time ago. And then we also have the Chicago Winds, and they only played for 1 year in Soldier Field from January 1975 to September 75. They were part of the World Football League. Okay. And last but not least, I saved the best for last, was the Chicago Sting. Now, the Chicago Sting, that lasted a long time. It was founded in 1974 to 1988. They played at many stadiums: Soldier Field, Comiskey Park, Wrigley Field. Indoor, they played at International Amphitheater, the Chicago Stadium, and the Rosemont Horizon. So they were very popular. Very popular. The owner, his name was Lee Stern. He owned that. He was a trader at the Chicago Board of Trade. So he had an idea. Why not? Let's do it. Let's have a soccer team, which previously was the Chicago Mustangs. So I remember watching them on many TV stations, Channel 9, probably Channel 32, Channel 44. And they had the mascot Stanley Sting, which you always saw him. That was his name. I never knew his name. So they were a very good team. Very good team. You can find memorabilia on eBay or anywhere, any auction sites. They have a lot of that. Schedules, T-shirts, patches, anything you like. So that's interesting. Okay. So I did a run through on all the teams. I'm exhausted, so that was fun. I'm glad you can join me for that. I discussed most of all the teams that were forgotten or defunct. Some people may still remember them, others no, but I had fun reading them. I found it fascinating. I really did. Okay. That'll be all for today. The next episode coming up will probably be this weekend. Also, want to note that episode 75 is the last show of the season 3. So the next one, episode 76, will be season 4. Which, I'm looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. Anyway, so I'm glad you could join me. This is Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast, episode 75, season 3, and I'm your host Pete Costanes, and so happy you can join me. So bye bye for now for me, and here's Ray Rayner saying bye bye for now. Take care, everybody. So long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.